ladies and gentlemen, as we walk in, we find the founder of Jamaicans.com, the man behind it, the genius, the brilliant one, the empire builder, the one and only Xavier Murphy. He never really got to school. He went to JC, could have gone Mars, but we still, How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Boy, I'm there. Well, I am here where the best of Jamaica is being displayed. So I can only be.
We have the best of Jamaica going on where we showcase Jamaica and Jamaicans at 20 odd locations around the world, and who has the best restaurant, who has the best jerk spot, who has the best events, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned.
Yes, Atlanta, best podcast, the JWalkerBuzz.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and I just want you to know how honored I am to be named the 2024 Best of Jamaica Person of the Year. To receive this recognition as the Best of Jamaica Awards celebrates, 25 years of acknowledging and bringing attention to the best of everything that is Jamaica. There's restaurants, there's travel, icons like me, at home and abroad, is not just a testament to any one individual, but to the collective spirit of Jamaica. It is our resilience, our creativity, and boundless love. Jamaica is a heartbeat, a rhythm, a source of strength for me. It's the warmth of the people, the vibrancy of our culture, and the indomitable spirit that teaches us how to rise, no matter the challenge, forward ever, backwards never. My achievements are rooted in the spirit, nurtured by the unwavering support of Jamaica and those who believed in me when the road felt uncertain. Jamaica continues to show me what is truly meaning when they say embody excellence, not just for yourself, but others. And I'm reminded of the words of Mosiah Garvey, a people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots, and I am deeply rooted in the lessons of those who came before me, and I promise to continue honoring their legacy by striving to make a difference for those who come next. Here's to Jamaica.com. Always big up yourself. I'm Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's another episode of the one and only JWalkerBuzz. Of course, Jason, you're there, meet there every time. We always talk about the great things, the wonderful things, the fantastic things that happen in the culture, that impact the culture, that move the culture forward. Because it's all about the buzz, because we're going to make the culture buzz, or the buzz going to make the culture buzz, because the culture is just buzzing every time we buzz. So ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of JWalkerBuzz, and please help me out. Like, subscribe, share, and you can rate it too, And if you give me 4 stars, I know it's bad mind, but it's okay. Bad mind is active, but that's cool. But everybody has to give me the 5 stars. Big respect. JWalkerBuzz in the building. So today, ladies and gentlemen, another great contributor to the culture. We have with us one of the most, what should I say? Thorough, one of the most, visited, one of the most impactful manifestations in the diaspora, and consistency is crazy. 30 years, people. The one and only Jamaicans.com, the founder, the owner, the big man himself, Xavier Murphy.
So it seems like I need to take you to do my introduction everywhere I go. First of all, Happy New Year to you, Jason. And the buzz is buzzing, and to all the buzzies.
The buzzies, I like that.
Happy New Year to all the buzzies out there that follow and like Jason. He has been doing this for so many years. Talk about consistency. He has been in the media for so many years, one of the pioneers in the Atlanta, Georgia area on the radio. I think the first FM show.
No, I'm the first Jamaican on FM.
Show.
There were others. There were other Caribbean people, and in America, there's the first reggae show was a guy named Gandhi. And to tell you how old he was, he emceed Peter Tosh's tour that came to Atlanta. He was MC.
Wow. So he has some stories to tell.
Unfortunately, late great Gandhi passed away.
Okay. I'm hoping he passed those stories on to someone else, because that is the key. We need to tell our stories, and you do that, and you do that well. And this is why you have been consistent and you have been in the media, because you tell our stories, and we don't do enough of that.
You see what he just did there, Buzzies? You see what he just did? The man switch it and pick me up at the same time, That's a professional guest. That being said, Xavier Murphy, this episode is really about covering Jamaicans.com's Best of Jamaica. And the Best of Jamaica first in-person event. Now, for those who don't know, every year for the past 25 years, Jamaicans.com has been doing this competition, asking Jamaicans in different cities what is the best of Jamaica. I've been blessed to win a few times,
Indeed, congratulations, sir. You have won a few times. Well, for the Atlanta area.
But I never won during the in-person year, which is this year. Quite annoying. So Buzzies in Atlanta, which most of you are, I need you to vote for me this year. I need you to vote for JWalkerBuzz to be the best media platform coming out to Atlanta. I need that.
I'm sorry the in-person event came and you were unable to, you didn't win. You won multiple times. and so yes, the Buzzies, you all need to make it happen, because this is about the people's choice. This is about the choices that you choose, the people you choose and nominate and are voted on. And so the power is in your hands.
I like the way that, I think it's a whole heap of slogans I got to teach from him today. The power is in your hand. But let's start in the beginning, because first of all, I have been blessed, right, to work with, even before Jamaicans.com came on, I worked with a friend of mine for something called Carib Life Central, which was like Facebook for Caribbean people before there was Facebook. So this was in the 90s. I saw how much work it took, and, he had to end up giving it up. So I know this takes enough work, but you somehow have done the work and then put yourself in a position where Jamaicans.com, literally second most visited place after the Gleaner. And anybody who's lived in Jamaica, come from Jamaica, know who the Gleaner is. And it's only the Gleaner surpass you. Please tell us a little bit about that journey from the beginning coming through. And don't be shy about mentioning Buzzies like Chris Richards and Akila Richards as you talk about. Just saying.
So Chris and I go way, way back. I can't even, there's so much to say. We were neighbors here in Kingston 21. For those of you who don't know, Kingston 21 is South Florida.
Right.
And so you find many Jamaicans here. It's almost like home. Back home. I'm not saying it's Jamaica, but you find any and everything here. But Chris and I go way back. Chris is an impressive, excellent graphic designer, web designer, marketer, knows a lot. But I knew him when he was a teenager and was my next door neighbor. And I've been honored to have him do some of the redesigns on Jamaicans.com. He's based out of Atlanta. Big up, Chris. Akila, big up, and the family. But if I go back to the beginning, before there was a Jamaicans.com, I was recently reminded by our partners for Best of Jamaica, Rhythms Marketing, Eddie Edwards, that there was enough respect. And a lot of people don't know that there was a publication, a print publication I used to do called Enough Respect. And Enough Respect was my first venture into media. It was showcasing again Jamaican culture. We did have some parodies in there, and so I started in print. Enough respect. From there, when I discovered, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a company that did electronic marketing, and I know I'm gonna date myself on AOL, CompuServe, and those
AOL.
Prodigy,
floppy disk.
Yes, you know, from, you know, when them say my grandfather used to walk, go school barefoot, and yes, we're coming back from, I may not look it, but I'm coming back from those days. And so we used to market there, and the internet was coming up, and I went out, learned to code, learned how to, you know, we were using the internet, and so
respect is due that you actually learned to code. Like what year are we talking about? Like what years?
Wow, 31 years ago. I don't want to give you years. Let's people calculate it. 31 years ago.
and the reason I ask that is because the average person in media wouldn't do coding, including myself. Like I literally had the opportunity to be taught by IBM, actually even a little bit earlier than that, in the 80s. But I'm a people person. You know, I sit down in front of the computer for hours, not interested.
Well, if you were going to get on the internet back in that time, you had to know how to code your own page, because there wasn't any tools. You know, there wasn't a WordPress. There wasn't Joomla. There wasn't any of these platforms that you could easily spin out a website out there anymore. And so you had to start it with code.
Right.
And so I learned the code. Company sent me to a couple training, and then I looked online and I was like, there wasn't really any Jamaican information out there. There was one young lady, can't remember the name off the top of my head. In fact, I did interview her years later. She had a college project that she put some basic information on Jamaica out there with the college project. If you go to Jamaicans.com and search first Jamaican website, I'm not saying first domain registered, because I believe that the first domain registered was by the Jamaica Tourist Board, but they didn't have a website. First website was this young lady that started this website. It was a college project. She wasn't updating it. She just put it out there to get her grade, I believe, and she had the project. And so the second website was an alumni directory. This guy started a directory with email addresses.
Right, I remember that.
And I'm not talking about the popular one that came after. I'm talking about just a basic directory. I'm not talking Aki.
No, before Aki. I remember.
This is before Aki.
Yeah.
Before Aki.com.
But wasn't Dancehall the New Jersey one with Merton? Wasn't that before that?
No.
Okay.
No. So those are the two sites that were online, and I said, why not put something out? And so I started to code and put out the first Jamaicans.com website, which was called the unofficial website on Jamaica. We didn't get a domain name initially, because getting a domain name back then, now you get a domain name in 5 minutes. Back then, it took months to get a domain name.
Wow.
You literally had to give the blood from your first child, the blood from your future child. You had to give your bank account, your parents, grandparents name, and the process of.
So you're saying, so what you're saying is the internet was run by a bank in Jamaica. I'm just saying.
So it was very, very difficult to get. So we applied. I mean, you know, the site started in December, and I think it was either the January or the February, I realized the name Jamaicans.com was still available. So I applied to get it. But as I said, you're using a fax machine to fax this proof of who you are. And it took, if I remember correctly, it took us maybe 5 to 6 months before we actually were able to acquire the domain name itself. It could have even been longer, okay? But the process of acquiring a domain name was not easy back in that time, not at all. And so we started the website, a couple pages out there. I used the content from Enough Respect to start the Jamaicans.com, or the unofficial website as we call it then, on right. Jamaica website. And then people just kept asking questions. People kept inquiring about this, and that gave us more impetus to say, people want this. Right. And this point, the people online at that point there weren't many Jamaicans online. I remember talking to a friend, and when I told him about the internet, he looked at me like, I think you're going crazy. You know, I think you're going crazy, Xavier. I don't understand what you're saying. And so you had people who were curious about Jamaica, fans of Jamaica with access, because from a minority, from Black folks, Caribbean folks, you didn't have access to the internet. The internet you have today, you did not have access to get to the internet. In fact, I only had access to the internet at one point at work. Okay. You didn't really have access to the internet per se. You had to go through CompuServe or AOL or Prodigy or whatever the case is. 5,000 pages long. So basically, it was difficult to get online. But I don't want to prolong on this old grandfather story that I talked about.
Well, you had to walk 5 miles to school.
How do we get from here how do we get from there to here?
Right.
It was just the people, the community, seeing a need in the community to provide accurate and real information on Jamaica and also the community is what took us to where we are. Where right now we're at about maybe 30,000 pages of information on Jamaica, on Jamaicans, of people of Jamaican descent, and stories about our culture, our community, our food, our music, is what we do and what we have.
Right. So we see the inspiration, and you got what we would later find out is called engagement, automatic engagement, because people are interested in Jamaica and people love Jamaica. In other words, you're lucky. That being said, tell us a little bit about some of the watershed moments for you throughout the years. I mean, let's be real. At the same time, you have your own career. During this time, you have wife, you have Pinckney, you have family. We'll mention this school only one time in this interview. Jamaica College, you built literally a whole alumni ecosystem for that school that gave us our best prime minister. Tell us, what are the watershed moments? And, I'm quite sure there were challenges, and how did you keep going?
So, let's not, I'm not going to say this has been a bed of roses. And I'm glad you brought up the point about the challenges. I think the first challenge we encountered was when the .com bubble burst. And I think that was 98, 99. I'm trying to remember when. When the .com bubble burst, it did not mean that the internet stopped or the internet stopped growing. It meant that a lot of the ideas folks had and a lot of the, just things they were pulling out the air lost money. What it meant for us is that we had more traffic, continue to have more traffic. The price of hosting a website that continued to grow, right, went up for us. And I was in the .com industry back at that time. So even for me, from a job perspective, I was out there financing Jamaicans.com on my own, because Jamaicans.com was not self-sustaining. I financed it and sustained it for years. And so
how did that go with building a family at the same time? Like, I'm quite sure a wife will give you a side eye once in a while, like, here, groceries, mortgage. What are you doing? Just saying.
Yeah, it was called a second wife by my first wife. It was called, the second wife, but here is where I'm going though, and I don't want to go in a circles too much. What happened was, we had, before there was, the original social media, people may think, okay, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is the original social media. The original social media actually started from what things they call bulletin boards. So those of you who might remember, there's one called the Wildcat bulletin board, which was text only. Those were the original social media, including AOL having its own little chat rooms and its own, Prodigy, CompuServe having their own little areas. So we had a forum. And our forum, we call it the board, the board, and we had the people on there were called the boardites. And we had a very active forum where people chat and people talk. It's still there, it's in archive. If you go to forums on Jamaicans.com, you'll see it. And so that community said, you know what? We want to help support Jamaicans.com. How can we give back to you? Because at one point, I needed to scale back. I needed to figure out a way where we could scale things back and only have the forum on for a certain period of time. Because, as I said, .com bubble burst. Prices went up for hosting. Traffic still increased. The internet was still growing. And so one watershed moment for me is when the community online, we had about 25 to 30,000 people visiting that forum online. It was their home away from home. You had marriages. You had 3 marriages, people who met on that forum, 3 that I know about, that got married, meeting on those forums. And again, as I said, this was social media before the social media you have today. This is where people socialize. They came together, and in a year they said, we're gonna have these pay parties around the country. They did Florida, they did Atlanta, I believe, they did New York, they did New Jersey, I think they did Boston, and I think one was held in Jamaica. And what they did was, the funds they raised, they literally said, Xavier, tell us the name of your host company. We'll write, the check is going directly there. I didn't want to touch any other funds, whatever. We want this forum, this board to continue. And that's what the community did. And that was one watershed moment for me, because it showed that the community cared about what was happening, cared about we showcasing them and giving them an area and giving them a space on the internet where they could be comfortable. Right. And so I always thank my boardites and my board community. And some of them are really good friends of mine. I can't travel to some areas of the world and not reach out to one of them or see them, because those were the supporters, the original supporters of the platform. So that was one watershed moment that I can say. There was another watershed moment related to the forums where we realized that folks are moving over to social media. And so the forum is in an archive now. It's not active, it's in an archive. But, that was a watershed moment, realizing there's a time you have to embrace and change. And we have gone through many changes. And so that was one of the watershed moments. Another watershed moment for me, as I said, was, getting an email. I know this may sound cheesy, but getting an email from Miss Louise Bennett.
Wow, that can't sound cheesy, brethren.
Okay. I didn't talk to her on the phone. I didn't interview her, but she sent an email and she said, "You have a poem on the website that is attributed to me, but it's not mine. Everyone attributes it to me, and I want you to give credit to the person who really did the poem. I've done it." She says, "I've done it multiple times, but people think it's mine. It's not mine, and I want the person to get credit." And so just her paying attention, reaching out, and doing that was a watershed moment for me, because she is one of the reasons we do what we do. So that was very important. We did get an interview. I did hit her up and say, "Hey, Miss Lou, we want to interview you." And we got an interview with her. I didn't do the interview, but we did get an interview with her. I also enjoyed the interview and the conversation I have with the young lady that started the first website, which is, her name was Arlene Lang. That was her name. And, for me, it was inspirational what she did. It inspired me, and interviewing her, which I did 12 or 13 years ago, was also a watershed moment. Recently, the most recent one, which is why we're here, is the Best of Jamaica. After 25 years doing the survey online and publishing the results online, to finally do an in-person event was a major watershed moment for us to showcase Jamaicans everywhere. That was major for us. There's many others, but those are some of the watershed moments in the life of the platform Jamaicans.com.
Well, for Atlanta, a watershed moment, of course, was Chris Richards coming to Atlanta and asking United for Jamaica to engage with Jamaicans.com back in the 90s, which is what introduced us to it. We had a Jamaicans.com banner. We had our press releases on your website. Like, you almost literally became our website.
We were the voice. We believe we are the voice of the diaspora and connecting the diaspora to Jamaica, but connecting Jamaicans wherever they are. That is, and telling their stories. And that's what we strive towards. And the partnership with your team there in Atlanta, was really fruitful. And we still continue. I still hit you up sometimes and say, "Listen, hey, I need something there in the Georgia area. Link me, man. Link me up." So I still hit you up at times to this day. I think 2 weeks ago I hit you up.
Argument done. It's safe because Atlanta loves the fact. I think we're number 3 behind New York and Miami, right?
Yes.
That's respectable. New York and South Florida. So that's a respectable space to be, considering our numbers are nowhere near either place. So we definitely love Jamaicans.com. Now, in terms of, at the end of the day, you are in the United States of America, right? And yes, there is a growing Jamaican diaspora, no two ways about it. And I have to admit, when I first came here in Atlanta, I stayed with the Jamaican community. I didn't step out, didn't look nowhere, which is weird since I ended up marrying an American. Anyway, that's another conversation. The interaction with an entity, a manifestation like Jamaicans.com in a place like South Florida, what is that like, especially in this time where there's this whole new conversation about FBAs and ADOS and Jamaicans not really being black after Kamala Harris run and all these things? Considering Marcus Garvey, Jamaicans.com is a big part. All of this is a big part of even U.S. history. How was that interaction for Jamaicans.com existing in South Florida?
So, you know, one of the things I've seen this whole, what we call the Diaspora Wars
Mm-hmm.
in, you know, playing out on social media. And I do believe it is nonsense. You know, I don't want to get to add any fuel to the fire, but listen, you know, the bottom line is this: the ship came and enslaved people. They dropped some off at one place, they dropped some off at the other place. Let me stop here and give a quick story, because I think this story brings it into perspective. I am on Ancestry.com, and a gentleman contacted me from South Carolina. The DNA shows that he and I are cousins. We're fourth cousins, but we are cousins. This gentleman has no connection to Jamaica.
None.
Can't find any connections. I have no connections to South Carolina. The only thing I can assume, and this is an assumption because
West Africa,
there is again, ship dropped me off, or dropped my ancestors off in Jamaica. Ship dropped his ancestors off in South Carolina. We're all one. This nonsense is nonsense. And I do believe the seeds are being sown by folks outside of the diaspora to have this continue. And so it's nonsense. Now, you know, we're about positivity. We're about showcasing Jamaica and Jamaicans. We let the news take care of any of the debates or any of the I don't want to say negativity, because news is news, right. But we let them take care of reporting that part of things. Our focus is to highlight, showcase the things that Jamaica, Jamaicans, Jamaican descent, and friends of Jamaica, whether they be American descent, of African descent, of European descent,
Chinese descent,
you know, who are, you know, who love our culture, love our people. That's our purpose. Don't get into the nonsense.
Don't get into the nonsense. That's a good way to end that one day. So, future. What we're looking at with Jamaicans.com, sir?
So the future is, you know, after a successful Best of Jamaica, we're trying to figure out how we're going to top that, first of all.
Let me tell you, more categories for Atlanta will definitely.
But you know, that is definitely coming. You know, there's some things we're streamlining, I think, from a high level, where we can meet our audience where they're at. One of the things that, you know, we do realize is video like you're doing, you know, is, we've always said this, we wanted to push out more, you know, video content. The bottom line is we want to meet you where you are, and we want our content to meet you where you are. And that is what we see as a future. The key is that, you know, we have on our team, we have some folks who are younger and who, you know what the other generation likes and dislikes and so forth. So, you know, being relevant, changing with the time, which we have always done. Let me state that we have always changed with times and meet people where we are. But the bottom line is to continue to showcase Jamaica and Jamaicans wherever they are in the world has always been our goal and will still be our goal.
Love it. Now listen, I think, you know, I think we spoke about this before we started recording. For now, I think keeping keeping the Best of Jamaica an invite event, I think is a good idea. Diasporically, it will grow the desire and the esteem of the event. But now, when it gets to a certain level, then you can switch now to streaming it live, because then it's on another level. That's my perspective. I just thought about this, and that's my perspective right off the bat. And in the meantime, you allow as many media platforms as possible to cover the event, so people see reports about it from various, not live, just after the fact, like everybody's covering this. This is what occurred at the event, blah, 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 blah. That's my perspective. Because you see already where people calling you, yeah, how come I wasn't invited? Like that mystery, it's good. You can't pay for that. You can't pay for that, brethren. You can't pay for it.
So let me state this though. We've always streamed. We've been streaming online the past 4 or 5 years. We've streamed the awards online. We were streaming online, and we have streamed pieces of this online while we were there. And so we'll look into it, see how we can do better. You know, we had some technical challenges. We will overcome those. And yeah, I'm excited and looking forward to the Best of Jamaica in 2025. And you, the folks, get to decide. Again, I don't want to hear any complaints that my patty shop never win or my beer never win. If you didn't vote or you didn't nominate, guess what?
If JWalkerBuzz and Jason Walker don't win, you know, tires in the street, roadblock, Kingston 21 for real. Xavier Murphy, I want to say big respect for all that you've done. It's a huge contribution to diaspora culture in this time, which is necessary in my opinion. You know, the father of a child born in America. I'm glad that there's a website like yours that they can go to and learn so much about the culture. Because let's be real, we take a lot of our things for granted. And so when called upon to sit down and now go through the culture, you're like, wait, no man, I'm trying to remember. You know, like the other day I was in a space where we were talking about literally independent and progressive media. I was the only Jamaican in there. And somebody said, oh, you sound, the Jamaican accent has intonations of Irish, like the Pirates. And I said to them, well, it's interesting you should say that, because the biggest pirate outlet at that time was in Jamaica, Port Royal. And I'm like, that's something that I just take for granted. Like, it's not something I even tell my kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they go to Jamaica.com, it's right there.
It's right there. It influences, the Irish influences. A lady who had done some research had written a really good article on that. And it's right there on Jamaicans.com. And it's fitting you say that, because one of the things when I started out, with Jamaicans.com and Enough Respect was to leave a legacy where a child who was born of Jamaican descent can go back and find it and look and see things. And it's, one of the stories that I heard, and I don't want to take up too much of your time on your show, but this one person who we had reached out to when we were doing some research on Rastafari, and we had a whole section on it. And about 10 years later, I saw him, and he said, he was one of the foremost authorities in this particular area in terms of studying the area, know the area well. Write books on it, lectured at UWI on it. I'm not going to call his name, but
why
one
not
of the
call
authorities.
Why
not? No, not prefer not to, for various reasons. But he said his son was doing research, and he says, you wouldn't believe which website his son, who's doing research on the same topic, has the father there who could but started doing his own. Found it on Jamaicans.com. And so, I use this proverb all the time.
Which one?
Verb goes like this: It says it's a Zimbabwean or from Zimbabwe. It says, until the lion tells his side of the story, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunt. And that's one of the things the Proverbs I live by, because everyone has a story to tell. Don't let someone else tell your story. You've seen what happens when somebody is cooking some type of Jamaican recipe that is a disaster. You've seen what happens when someone is telling you about a Jamaican proverb that is not a Jamaican proverb.
Yes.
Or they're telling, again, you need to tell your story. We need to tell our story.
If you don't, it becomes his story, and our story becomes hidden story. So we need to tell our story. No, I feel you, brethren. I totally feel you. And I had a watershed moment like that. I remember the second year being on the air, because my whole first year being on the air was about showing everybody how we play music in Jamaica, because there weren't many DJs who directly came from Jamaica. Like, I was the only DJ that directly came from Jamaica. Most of them came from New York or South Florida. And letting them know that Change's sound is the best sound in the world, dub plate and blah, blah, blah. So that was my first year, arrogant and show off. That was the point. The second year, Marcus Garvey's birthday came around, and I did a whole show on Marcus Garvey on his birthday. And like 2 days later, I went into a restaurant, and the cook, who never comes outside, heard I was there and run outside and say, yo, Skywalker, my youth, straight up. Thanks. I'm like, what? After you do that Garvey session on the radio, my son go pick up a book for go read about Garvey. And I'm like, oh. That's what hit me. Oh, wait, this is important. This is not just a moment for sure. This is actually like there's some impact here. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So Jamaicans.com does that for people every day, even if you don't get lucky enough to walk into the people who impact, but it's happening, and that's probably why it's the second most visited Jamaican site on the internet. All right, Xavier, pronounced Xanadu, not X-ray. Yes, well, with the body tick. I want to say big respect to you, sir. I want to say big respect to the First Lady, Karen Murphy. I want to say big respect to the first children. I know some of them involved too.
Yes, I didn't even mention that. That the legacy that Jamaicans.com. I'm fortunate that my wife, my kids have worked with us all the way through. So yeah.
But just like a Jamaican Chinaman, you have your whole family in the business. Exactly. I mean, this is a very good thing to do culturally. Have your whole family in the business. That makes sense. Talk about leaving a legacy. Well done, Xavier. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jamaicans.com. Of course, we just covered the best of Jamaica. You're gonna see more highlights from it and so on. Gotta say big respect to the 2 Atlanta manifestations who won. You want to name them, Xavier, let the people know?
Well, there were 2 folks from Atlanta that I want to thank them for coming in. They flew in, picked up their award, and I will say, thank you for that. We had from let me tell you the concert, the Atlanta Bless Music Fest.
Big up Howard.
We had Sidonia and Mr.
Osborne.
Nanimus. Mr. Nanimus is the name.
Yes.
Came in. And so thank them, and so we also had the judge, you're a good friend. I think if you had done an introduction for her, but Judge Joel Scott came in, and she was awarded. She's a change maker. She was nominated and won that award. So thanks to them, and also the Atlanta Bless won for the best event. Caribbean Jamaican event in the Atlanta area, and congrats to them on that. They beat out some stiff competition, but again,
people are gonna vex. People are gonna vex.
I say to people, you have the power. You get to nominate. You get to vote. If you don't, I have nothing to say.
Big up Atlanta Bless, best Caribbean Jamaican event in Atlanta, or all of the rest of you are bought. If you try to come out in this year. And of course, the judge, listen, when she was district attorney before she became judge, she could have won this award. Just her recidivism program, also making sure that people who didn't have violent crimes, first-time offenders, get treated in a manner that make them come back to make them more positive part of society instead of just being part of the for-profit jail system. That's another conversation. She was already a change maker, and then she became judge. She continues to be a change maker. One of the greatest legacies of Jamaica, period. Judge Joel Scott, former Honorary Consul General for Atlanta. Love her to death. Yeah, man, not a real one.
She loves the community, serves the community, and I think well-deserved honor for her, and the community bestowing this honor on her shows the impact she has on them, the community. So congrats to all the winners that came to the event. And hopefully this year, Jamaica 2025, we will see a lot more of you come in. The winners come in to pick up their awards. And again, vote. That's all I say. Nominate, vote.
Vote. Election year, vote. When the nominations and elections begin.
So we typically start in September, but we may go earlier. We're actually, the planning team is looking at, maybe we can start a little earlier because of the response to this first in-person event. And so we'll see. We're probably gonna be earlier. Just look out. If you don't follow us on Facebook.com/Jamaicans.com. And
I remember the first time I saw that, I thought that was creative.
Same thing on Instagram. Jamaica, Instagram, it's at Jamaicans, DOTCOM. Same thing on Twitter. Same thing on
X.
Same, the only places we are different is YouTube, where we're Jamaicans on YouTube. So if you go YouTube/Jamaicans, so subscribe to all our channels, follow us there, and you will get the latest information on when the next Best of Jamaica voting nominations open up.
Excellent. And of course, this year, buzzettes and buzzies. Please remember, you have to nominate JWalkerBuzz, Best Caribbean Jamaica Media Platform. Not just in Atlanta, just in the Diaspora and the argument. But we'll go with Atlanta. And Jason Walker, Best Media Person. If I don't win, me and you know. You know what? I'm going to call it rigged if I don't win.
But that way I'm not in that.
All right, Xavier. Big respect for all you've done. Keep on doing the good work. Glad that you've kept on the legacy. I've been blessed to see people when they've begun their thing. And what was cool was, although I'm sure it was challenging, it was also fun. That's where I'm coming with. Like, when you were doing it, there was fun around it, there was vibes. And honestly, I don't think any of us were thinking about long-term money making, whatever. It was just what felt good. And although it has to be a business and you have to do the business thing, it still feels good.
Yeah, serving the community like you have, and in many capacities, it's, I've served the community myself. It's always good. From Miami-Dade Community College, president of the Jamaican Students Association, and I can continue on, just serving the community. It's always a pleasure serving our community, and so we'll continue to do that, showcasing again Jamaica and Jamaicans wherever they are. Thank you, and thank you to you for all you do. Thanks to your audience who continues to support. And I know you talked about the Atlanta community. Big up to the Atlanta community. I always enjoy my visits there. You always feel welcomed, and it's a close knit. What I love about the community and all the communities, but Atlanta, I know. I remember when there was just a few Jamaicans there, and
yep.
And I think it kept that community tight knit, very tight knit. And so they weren't spread out far, but it was always Stone Mountain.
It's starting to spread out now, though.
Yes.
You find some people in Alpharetta, Cummings, Kennesaw, and I'm like, why are you all up there? but it's growing.
So big up, and again, I appreciate you having me on the show. Happy New Year to all. And take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Xavier, like Xanadu, not like X-Ray. Xavier Murphy, founder, creator, all of them things at Jamaicans.com, the man who kept to go in the engine with his whole family. And of course, we're covering the best of Jamaica, which was absolutely fun, except for the fact that we didn't win nothing. So we need to win this year. Happy New Year, Buzzies and Buzzettes. Please tell your friend them to like, subscribe, to share JWalkerBuzz. You know all the places to follow us. It says JWalkerBuzz. Let us know. Give us any feedback. And anything. And if you want Cost Xavier, because your thing never went in the city, yeah, you can send that too. I'll forward it to him. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of JWalkerBuzz, where we interview great people who contribute to the culture, keep it going, and also inspire all of us. The best of Jamaica. And I know JWalkerBuzz, even though we don't have the word, I know we are the best of Jamaica. Check you out next time. Buzz out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at Jamaica.com, Best of Jamaica, and we're with the First Lady, Miss Karen Murphy, who, along with Xavier, 25 years ago, when she was 4, started this amazing portrait. Well done.
Just as it's not your time.
Anything you want to tell the Atlanta fans then?
Atlanta, listen, you are in the southeast. We're neighbors, and I'm so thankful that Xavier and I and the team are able to recognize the recipients of awards there in Atlanta. Keep up the good work and keep making sure you fly the Jamaican flag high.